This is CBC Radio 1, 640 AM in St. John's. Canada lives here.
Coming up tomorrow on the St. John's Morning Show, boycotting the boycotters, how a local restaurateur is responding to that Chefs for Seals campaign. And a doctor shortage in Grand Bank finally has the town getting involved. We'll find out why. Join us tomorrow for the St. John's Morning Show.
Hi, it's Ted Blades. On the Go is just around the corner. Ryan will have the weather. Maggie will be here with her road reports. And then we'll have the best music you'll hear anywhere this afternoon and interviews with the newsmakers of the day. On the Go begins at 4, 3:30 in most of Labrador.
This is CBC News for Newfoundland and Labrador. I'm Maggie Gillis. We begin today with national news. It's been a jaw-dropping day in Toronto as Mayor Rob Ford confessed he has smoked crack cocaine, doing so about a year ago, and probably while he was drunk. Ford made that admission to reporters and live on TV this afternoon. Toronto's deputy mayor told reporters that Ford is expected to make another announcement in a short time from now. The City Council's executive committee is calling on Ford to take a leave from his job. We'll have much more on this story this afternoon. Now to St. John's, where a 34-year-old man has been arrested in connection with a sexual assault on the weekend. Police say they got a report of a disturbance at a home in the west end of the city shortly after 7 o'clock on Saturday morning. A woman was taken to hospital, treated, and released. The accused is charged with sexual assault causing bodily harm and uttering threats to cause bodily harm. He's being held for court. A pizza delivery driver who was the victim of an armed robbery last weekend is telling his story. It happened just after he dropped off a pizza at a St. John's home early Sunday morning. The CBC's Jen White has more.
Randy Adams was in the middle of a busy weekend shift. He was making a delivery on Freshwater Road around 3 a.m. when his night changed dramatically.
A girl answered the door, took the pizza. I went to the car. I heard footsteps behind me. I just turned around and they were on to me in seconds.
Adams says the three masked men had a knife. They took his wallet, about $1,000 in cash, and his cell phone. He says at the time he was scared that he would be stabbed. But this isn't the first time Adams has been held up. He says it happened to him about 2 years ago, right in front of the no-name pizza restaurant where he works. Adams says he's been speaking with police, and they're still looking for the suspects. He's also no longer allowed to carry more than $70 and now makes regular deposits during his shifts to a safe. Jen White, CBC News, St. John's.
The provincial government isn't keen to take a position on night helicopter flights to the offshore. Today in question period, the NDP asked the government to ban night flights. Peter Cowan has more.
Oil companies have been eager to extend the hours they fly to and from offshore oil platforms. After the Cougar helicopter crash, night flights were banned. Today, the NDP leader, Lorraine Michael, pressed the government to make that ban permanent.
I asked the Premier, Mr. Speaker, will she stand with us in opposing any return to regularly scheduled night flying in the offshore?
The matter is before the Offshore Petroleum Board. The companies have said they want to be able to take off or land at the platform in the light, but still be able to touch down in St. John's when it's dark. An official position is expected before the Petroleum Board soon, and Minister Derek Daly says the province is going to leave things up to the board.
Well, I think our position has always been whatever's in the best interest of the workers and the safety of the workers, and we have to respect the Petroleum Board and the expertise that they have on the board.
Daly says they're still pushing for an independent offshore safety regulator, something the federal government hasn't been keen on. Peter Cowan, CBC News, St. John's.
Grand Falls Windsor has pulled the plug on its Civic Centre project. As Lindsay Bird reports, Town Council now has to figure out what to do with all that cash.
I'm pleased that this project is not going forward.
Town Councillor Darren Finn has been against the Civic Centre idea for months. A $6.3 million price tag, with the province picking up 70% of the tab. But the cost to build it has ballooned $1.5 million over budget, now impossible for the town to afford. Finn says that money can be put to better use.
The area of greatest need in town Grand Falls Windsor is our roads infrastructure, which was 62% depreciated. So obviously we need to allocate more funding to roads infrastructure.
Several arts groups were supposed to call the new Civic Centre home. Mayor Al Hawkins says the town is scouting another location for those tenants.
Maybe some renovations to an existing building or maybe add-ons. It's wide open right now, and so that's all the options we'll explore.
The Civic Centre money is still on the table, although the government has to give the final okay for whatever idea the town comes up with. Lindsay Bird, CBC News, Grand Falls, Windsor.
And finally, many people in Newfoundland and Labrador love to crack open a cold beer. And new numbers show this province has the second highest number of beer drinkers in the country. The numbers were in a report released today by the Conference Board of Canada. It's based on beer sales per capita. The Conference Board report says people in this province bought a little less than 300 bottles each in 2012. Newfoundland and Labrador is second to the Yukon. The Conference Board warns the numbers may be skewed by seasonal workers and tourists. The report was meant to draw attention to the impact the beer industry has on the economy, supporting 163,000 jobs and bringing in $5.8 billion tax dollars for 3 levels of government. And that is the CBC News for Newfoundland and Labrador. I'm Maggie Gillis.
Good afternoon, it's Ted Blades. Welcome to On the Go for Tuesday, the 5th of November, Guy Fawkes night. In an hour, Mike Wirt on shell shock and the Blue Puttees. After that, the opposition has another go at the government over that report on sexual exploitation that it won't release. In 40, we'll hear from the pizza delivery guy who was robbed at knife point. And in this half hour, it's Jim Fiddler and his new CD being launched this week. Jamie Baker's the host of the Fisheries broadcast. He's here to tell us what's up today on that show.
Well, sir, there's a bit of a stink being raised about that whole search and rescue thing. I spoke too soon on the show yesterday when I said seems like everybody did a good job on this one. Well,
that'll teach you.
Tangled web we have to get down into here today to get to the facts. It's quite a mess.
Jamie will have that in 90 when the broadcast returns. After the broadcast, it's Margaret Parsons remembering Bonfire Night in Birch Island, Labrador. Maggie's got the on-the-go traffic desk well taken care of. We'll get to her in a moment, but first, it's the weather and Ryan Snow. How about if I turn my microphone off? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Sir.
Hello.
My fingers are still cold. I just came in from walking Long Pond.
And
the heat wave's over.
Yes.
Just to let you know.
The high today in St. John's, 0.1 degree at the airport. And so the run, the plus side high temperature run that we were keeping an eye on, that we talked about yesterday, it has been extended. We are now 216 straight days.
We're in overtime now.
With highs above zero. Yes, we are in overtime as we just barely scraped by today. March 31st, in case you missed it yesterday, the last time we had a high below zero in St. John's. And that's about the same for Gander out towards the west coast, late March, early April. And we did get above zero across the island today. We'll see temperatures not as cool tonight. We'll drop to -3 to -4 in parts of central Newfoundland, -1, -2 in the east, and in Labrador, temperatures tonight will dip to as cool as a -4 or -5, but generally not as cool. Winds are becoming southwesterly, Ted, and that will mean a warmer Wednesday, and warmer is in quotes for sure.
Relatively warmer.
Yes. We are looking at temperature highs anywhere from 5 to 7 degrees across the island for tomorrow, with the cloud cover building in, few sunny breaks in the morning, and then a mostly cloudy afternoon, some showers mixed with some wet flurries in the morning, central and especially along the west coast, especially in the higher elevations of the west coast. And in Labrador, we will be looking at mainly cloudy skies with good chance of some flurries, wet flurries in Happy Valley, Goose Bay, mixed with a shower possibly there, but everybody else, wet flurries. Temperature highs there tomorrow will be in the 2 to 4 degree range. Long range, Thursday into Friday, things turn wetter and windier and warmer for Newfoundland. We're back to the WWW stuff for the island. Temperature highs by Friday will be into the teens across the island again, but winds will be really gusting in from the south, and those periods of rain will be working from west to east. In Labrador, on the northern edge of the system, we talked about it last night, snow. Labrador City, Happy Valley, Goose Bay across to the coast of Labrador. Forecast models still on board with that, and most showing at least 15 centimeters in the swath that will be the heaviest, to as much as 20, 25, maybe even 30 centimeters in some of the high elevation spots. So we'll keep you posted on that. That would be snow beginning tomorrow night, continuing into Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend, into Saturday morning. So more on that tonight on Here and Now.
We'll talk tomorrow. It'll be on television in an hour and 20 minutes and back here on The Go in 24 hours. It is 9 minutes after 4 now. That's 21 to the hour, most parts of Labrador. Time for our first traffic check. Here's Maggie Gillis with that.
Well, if you want to know about Twitter traffic, it's about Rob Ford admitting to smoking crack.
I bet it's bumper to bumper on Twitter when it comes to Mayor Ford.
Bumper to bumper. But as far as real traffic goes, a little bit of a slowdown on Portugal Cove Road. There's a backhoe tearing up the southbound lane near Hoyles Escazone, so down to one lane there. Northbound slow as well. Other than that, looks pretty good. About 50 minutes ago, there was a report of an accident at the Belle Island ferry lineup. But other than that, it's been pretty quiet this afternoon. If you're out and about and you see something I should pass along, slowing people down, let me know on Twitter or give a call to 576-5225.
She's Maggie Gillis. I'm Ted Blades, and Jim Fiddler is here to talk about his new CD called RPM. This is the first cut. It's called Mr. Man, and I'll tell you, you better buckle up. Things could get loud.
All right. Hey there, Mr. Man. Do you have a plan for what you have in store for me? Your mirrors and your lights are such a pretty sight to see. Hey there, Mr. Man, do you understand? A simple Joe isn't easy to be. So get up on the stage, let out all your rage for me. Upside down, acting like a clown. You really put on quite a show. You don't play anything, you can barely even sing, you know.
And thus begins Jim Fiddler's new album called RPM. The official launch is November 7th at the Masonic Temple downtown. But right now, the multi-talented, multi-instrumentalist, singing, songwriting Mr. Fiddler is sitting on the far side of the on-the-go table. Good afternoon, sir.
Hello.
Now, the first time I heard Mr. Man, that opening track, I was sitting up at my desk in the newsroom upstairs. But from the opening power chord, I got to tell you, I could almost feel myself being transported back to my teenage bedroom decades ago, before children, before responsibilities, lying on the floor, between the speakers, nothing else to do but let the music flow through you.
That's what it's all about, yeah. That song there is really all about that idea that a lot of people seem to have, that dream. Everybody sort of wants to be a star somewhere. You know, you're a teenager and you see the guy on the TV or whatever. He's up there on the stage and he's got all them lights on him and all the girls are screaming and he's, people say, I want to do that.
How much of what we heard in that song is you?
All of it, actually.
Every screechy guitar solo, every piano, everything is you.
Yeah, even pushing the buttons and turning the knobs and the engineering and all that stuff too, yeah.
Why do you do that? Why do you work that way? Lots of people like to get a band in and jam with them. You spend a lot of time in your basement by yourself. I don't mean that in a bad way, but I'm just wondering why that's the way you work.
I have a studio, and it's not in the basement, but to me, it's a composition thing. It's like I've always thought of myself, not just because I kind of like to think about myself this way, but because I don't know any other way to describe it, as I guess a sound painter. So if I'm painting, if I've got my brushes out and I'm working on my canvas and I'm doing my sketches and I'm doing whatever, it just seems strange to me to just bring somebody in to make a splotch of red up here or a splotch of green down there. I've spent a whole lifetime playing with other musicians and love playing with other musicians. But in the process, when you're by yourself and you're in your studio and it's in the middle of the night and you're getting things done, just doesn't seem to be any reason the next day when you play it back to say, okay, let me delete that and get somebody else and spend all the time that it would take to kind of communicate to somebody else how to try to imitate you when you've already done it.
And what your idea is.
Yeah. And I mean, if I were playing in a working band, then that process would be happening. But see, I don't have. I'm not a member of a band, so I don't have those people.
You are the band.
I am.
You are those people.
I'm a band, eh?
So how long has it been since you laid down the first track, the first instrument on one track for RPM?
From beginning to end, it was 8 months, literally to the day. When I tied the last ribbon on it, the date on the final mix was exactly 8 months to the day from the first day when I laid down the first track.
8 months at it every day?
Day and night, literally day and night. Yeah, Lillian can tell you that.
And you set out to make an album, not a collection of singles, but an album in the old-fashioned sense of the word.
Yeah, in the sense of The Wall, Dark Side of the Moon, Crime of the Century, that kind of thing. And it came from a friend of mine, Rod. Him and I were listening to, I kind of came up with this term, FLR, full-length recording. And not just the quote-unquote concept album. It doesn't have to be psychedelic and about, somebody wearing multicolored clothing floating through space or on some kind of drug or something. It could be about anything. So I just call them full-length recordings, just something that is composed and arranged and done in such a way that it's like a movie. And the songs belong together and they were written together and recorded together.
And this FLR tells the story of young Mickey Finn. Mm-hmm. Tell me a bit about Mickey.
Well, Mickey, when I started doing this in the first place, I was setting out to take the Mickey out of the whole idea of stardom and people worshiping kings and queens and presidents and movie stars and singers and things like that. But then I realized that I was dealing with something that was really more a part of me, really, than anything. More than, I guess, reggae is a different thing for me. That's kind of more, I would say, above intellectual, spiritual, social, whatever. Celtic is kind of, part of my culture growing up in Newfoundland and all that stuff. But bigger than that even is the big bunch of music that didn't really have a name. The stuff that we heard on the radio when I was growing up, it was just the radio back then. We never had the extra smooth left-handed black hat wearing jazz channel and the whatever. we just all turned on the radio, and we all heard on the same station Led Zeppelin and Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers and Supertramp and whatever.
Often back to back.
Often back to back, and we had our favorites. But, you know, Mom and Dad knew my songs and maybe liked some of them and didn't like some of them. I knew Mom and Dad's songs and liked some of them and didn't like some of them. We hadn't all been sort of broken up and segregated at that point. So at that point, it was just music. We didn't really so much think of things in terms of genres and breaking things up like that. So really what I did for this record was just kind of just go back to that spirit of that time. So, I mean, this really for me was the funnest album I've ever made in my life because it really, in a real true sense, wasn't even me. You know, I didn't really feel like Jim Fiddler making a Jim Fiddler album. For me, it was just, I was just doing this thing. And even all the lyrics on the album are all what they call stream of consciousness. I never wrote any of the lyrics on this record. I literally laid down bed tracks, put on the headphones, got in front of the mic, and just sang. And then after, listened back and said, yeah, I'll keep that. And that happened over and over and over again. I had to go back and write one verse to complete one of the songs. But the whole rest of the album was all literally, before I hit record, I didn't know what the name of the song was. I didn't know what it was about. I had no idea. This album here really is I think the broadest appeal type thing that I've ever done. And it's not for any kind of reason other than just a natural progression. Like I said, with me and my friend listening to Thick as a Brick and The Wall and things like that. And I was pointing out to my friend, you know what they're doing there? You know, as a composer, arranger, you know, musician myself, I said, I can see the Lego blocks that they're snapping together to, you know, they're doing this little, you know, and I was saying, oh yeah. And then they're going, you know, whatever. I said, these are all like little Lego blocks. This is easy peasy stuff. And my friend Rod said, really? And the very next day, I recorded Mr. Man, and the day after that, I recorded the second track on the record. And at that point, I said, hey, this is fun. Why don't I just make an album?
And here we are.
And here we are, yeah. I kind of gained some inspiration from, of all people, the Ruttles. Because they did something that I saw as being so clever. It's not quite the idea of parody. It's creating new music in the spirit of something and nailing it. So when the Ruttles are singing, hold my hand, yeah, yeah, hold my hand, yeah. The Beatles never did a song called Hold My Hand, yeah, yeah. But I'm saying to myself, man, I think I like this song better than I Want to Hold Your Hand or She Loves You. You know, they nailed it. So really what I did was just kind of put myself into that frame of mind, into that spirit, as though I were back in 78, 79. Again, as I said, when I was actually making music in those days and buying these records as they were coming out. You know, I'm not making a 2013 kind of kitschy retro, corny 70s thing. This album is as though I just went back to 78, 79 and just made a record based pretty much on what music I had experienced up to that point, with some vision for the future. Because the main thing, I remember a big picture thing going on that as of Ronald Reagan in the 80s just seemed to fade away somewhere.
So what happens Thursday night?
Thursday night, we get together and we have at the Spirit of Newfoundland. Used to be the Masonic Temple. Boy, if it were still the Masonic Temple.
I still kind of call it that. I think people know where it is. But yes, down there, downtown on Cathedral.
You got to come down, if not for the music, if not to help us give birth to this new baby. You just got to check out that night. You got to come up to me and check out my handshake. I got a special handshake for the launch at the Masonic Temple.
Okay. Joy buzzers.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you better watch out. Doors open at 7:30, I think. Is that right? Lillian says yes, so that's
Lillian knows. And what does it cost?
It's $30, which includes a CD. So for the sake of Gordon Quinton, Mike Hanrahan, Derek Harrington, myself, and being out in a place where no one's going to start punching you or giving you a hard time, it's going to be a really nice atmosphere. I'd pay that for sure.
All right, let's give them a chance to hear one of the other songs they'll hear Thursday night.
Okay.
Something new from RPM. What'll it be?
Probably a song called Not the Thing at the End of the Line.
Jim, thanks for coming by.
Thank you, Ted.
That is Jim Fiddler, and from his brand new CD, RPM, here's Jim with Not the Thing at the End of the Line.
Come on, people, let's get together. All we need is a break in the weather, and whether we make it or break it, we're going to be fine. 'Cause the journey's the thing, not the thing at the end of the line. Too many people just work for a living. Not enough people are thinking of giving and living and giving are all we can do with our time. 'Cause the journey's the thing, not the thing at the end of the line. You don't need no reservation. All you do is get your ticket at the station. So come on, people, let's get together. All we need is a break in the weather, and whether we make it or break it, we're going to be fine. 'Cause the journey's the thing, not the thing at the end of the line. The journey's the thing, not the thing at the end of the line. Say the journey's the thing, not the thing at the end of the line.
That is Jim Fiddler on the Go, and Not the Thing at the End of the Line. It's from his new album, RPM, which is being launched Thursday evening at the Spirit of Newfoundland Productions, the former Masonic Temple, in downtown St. John's. If you want to reserve a ticket, which comes with a CD, call Spirit of Newfoundland at 579-3023 or visit their website.